You stand in your kitchen on a quiet, rain-slicked evening, seeking warmth from the chill outside. You lean over the stove, watching the steam curl from a simmering pot of dark, rich broth. You reach into a small glass jar, your fingers brushing against something dry, brittle, and intricately shaped. You pull out a single wooden star. It has 8 perfect seed-bearing points. It looks less like a food and more like a piece of carved mahogany, a tiny artifact left behind by a meticulous carpenter. You drop it into the rolling water. Immediately the kitchen fills with a sweet, penetrating aroma. It is the scent of warm licorice, of dark spice, of ancient comfort. But as you breathe in that fragrant steam, you are unaware that you have just dropped a map into your soup. This tiny, and unassuming star is a compass that points toward misty mountains, hidden smuggling paths, frozen desert caravans, and the blood-soaked decks of privateer ships. This simple ingredient, sitting quietly in the back of your pantry, once dictated the fortunes of empires. It captured the obsessive desires of kings, alchemists, and explorers. You close your eyes to the rising steam, and the walls of your kitchen fade away. The warmth of the stove is replaced by a heavy, humid mist. The air clinging to your skin is a wet shroud. You're no longer standing on a modern floor. Your feet are planted in the damp, mossy earth of a high-altitude evergreen forest. You're in the jagged, towering limestone-cast mountains of southwestern China, near the border of what will one day be called Vietnam. It is the early days of the Ming dynasty. You're a farmer, and your life is bound to the seasons of a delicate, elusive tree. You look up into the dense canopy. The branches are brittle, easily snapped, and they grow high. Climbing them is a dangerous gamble, a risk you take every harvest because what grows at the top is worth more than copper or silk. You pull yourself up the slick bark, reaching out over a perilous drop to pluck a green, unripe fruit from the leaves. It does not look like a star yet. It is fleshy and green, smelling sharply of the earth. But you know the secret of this forest. You gather the fruits in a bamboo basket strapped to your back, carefully navigating the descent. Back in your village, you lay the green pods out under the pale sun. You watch as the heat draws the moisture from them. You watch the flesh pull back, tightening, hardening, curling into rust-coloured 8-pointed stars. They call it Bajiao, the 8 horns. For centuries, this star remains a guarded secret of these mountains, prized by traditional healers to cure the coldness of the body, and by cooks to bring a deep, sweet complexity to roasted meats. But a scent this powerful cannot be contained by mountains forever. The world is waking up, hungry for the exotic, and the star begins to move. You are now a merchant, your back aching from the endless rhythmic swaying of a wooden cart. You're travelling the rugged southern trails, winding toward the bustling port city of Canton. In the back of your cart, hidden beneath rolls of common fabric, are sacks filled with the dried brown stars. You navigate treacherous mud roads and avoid the gaze of bandits who hide in the bamboo forests. They would kill for the silver your cargo will fetch. You bring the stars to the docks, where the smell of salt and dead fish mixes with the intoxicating perfume of 1,000 exotic spices. Here, the star Anise meets the ocean. The year is 1587. The world's oceans have become a massive watery battlefield where empires fight for the right to control the taste of dinner in Europe. You are an English sailor, your face burned by the sun, your hands calloused from the rigging. You sail under the command of the privateer Thomas Cavendish. You're a pirate in the eyes of the Spanish, but a hero to the English crown. You're patrolling the waters of the Pacific, hunting the massive Spanish galleons that transport the wealth of the East from Manila to Acapulco. You spot her on the horizon, the Santa Ana. The cannons roar. Is splintering the wooden hull of the great galleon. You swing across the gap, cutlass in hand, fighting through the thick smoke and the screams of fallen men. You conquer the ship, expecting to find the hold bursting with gold and silver bullion. You pry open the heavy wooden crates in the darkness of the hull. But instead of the cold glitter of gold, a sweet, overwhelming aroma rushes out to meet you. The crates are filled with silk, porcelain, and thousands upon thousands of strange wooden stars. You run your hands through them, confused by their shape, mesmerized by their scent. When Cavendish's ship finally returns to London, completing the 3rd circumnavigation of the globe, you bring the stars with you. You dump them onto the cobblestones of a thriving, filthy London. You sell them to curious apothecaries and wealthy lords. The English have never tasted anything like it. It is sweeter than the common anise seed of the Mediterranean, deeper, more mysterious. Almost overnight, the star anise becomes a sensation in the courts of Europe. But the sea is not the only way the star travels. Decades pass, and you find yourself shivering against a wind so cold it feels like glass breaking against your face. You are wrapped in heavy furs, leading a train of 200 Bactrian camels across the frozen, unforgiving steppes of Siberia. You're travelling the Great Tea Road in the late 17th century. You're a Russian caravan driver. You have travelled thousands of miles from the trading post of Kyakhta on the Chinese border, moving slowly toward the glittering palaces of Moscow and St. Petersburg. The journey takes 18 agonising months. Men die of frostbite. Camels collapse in the snow. Bandits raid the camps under the cover of the endless winter nights. But you press on because of what is tied to the camels' backs. You carry compressed bricks of black tea, meant for the samovars of the Tsars, but packed tightly between the bricks of tea, insulating them, preserving them, are sacks of star anise. The spice permeates the tea, binding its flavour to the leaves. When you finally reach the courts of the Russian Empire, the nobles brew the tea and the sweet licorice scent of the Chinese mountains fills the grand halls. To the Russians, the flavour of star anise becomes inseparable from the luxury of tea itself. As the centuries turn, the star weaves itself deeper into the fabric of global culture. You are an alchemist, a distiller in a sunlit apothecary in southern France. The year is 1800. The Mediterranean is rich with regular anise, but it lacks the heavy, essential oils you need. You discover the Chinese star anise. You crush the 8-pointed pods in a heavy mortar, releasing their potent oils. You distill them with wormwood, fennel, and alcohol. You watch the clear liquid drip from the copper still. When you add a drop of water to it, it turns a cloudy, opalescent green. You have just helped create absinthe, the legendary spirit that will fuel the poetry, madness, and art of the Parisian Belle Époque. Every glass of anisette, every pour of pastis, sambuca, and ouzo that will follow, owes its deep, lingering sweetness to the dangerous journeys of the star. The star anise did not launch massive armadas like the clove, and it did not fund mercenary armies like nutmeg. It moved through the world quietly, a secret passenger on the backs of camels, in the holds of pirate ships, and in the pockets of mountain smugglers. Yet, it conquered the world. It became the beating heart of Chinese 5-spice powder, balancing the heat of Sichuan peppercorns and the warmth of cinnamon. It journeyed south to become the foundational soul of Vietnamese po, the very broth that sustains a nation. It travelled west to sweeten the baked goods of Germany and the liquors of the Mediterranean. And even in the modern era, long after the age of galleons and caravans had passed, the star had one last secret to reveal. When a global pandemic threatened the modern world, scientists did not look to a laboratory for a cure. They looked back to the mist-shrouded mountains of Guangxi. They discovered that the secret compound hidden inside the star anise, shikimic acid, was the crucial ingredient needed to synthesize the world's leading antiviral medication. The ancient healer's remedy had become the modern world's shield. The rain continues to beat against the window of your kitchen. You open your eyes. The mist of the Ming Dynasty forest is gone. The roaring cannons of the Pacific have faded. The freezing wind of the Siberian steppes is just a draft slipping beneath your door. You're back in your home. You look down into the simmering pot. The broth has taken on a rich, golden hue. The wooden star floats gently on the surface, entirely unchanged. It looks exactly as it did when the farmer plucked it from the high canopy centuries ago. You stir the pot, releasing another cloud of that ancient sweet perfume. It is easy to look at the foods in our pantries as simple commodities, boxes and jars bought in bright, sterile aisles. But nothing we eat is simple. Every flavour is a survivor. Every spice is a ghost. You're not just making dinner. You're boiling down history. You're tasting the ambition of pirates, the endurance of caravans, the secrets of apothecaries, and the mist of ancient mountains. You're partaking in a legacy that crossed oceans and deserts, just to end up right here, perfectly ordinary in the palm of your hand.